Hello and welcome to yet another Abyss video. This is the November 2024 Abyss and Imaginarium Theater, and as for versions, this is kind of a 5.1/5.2 version, because for the most part, the Imaginarium Theater covers 5.1 for the most part, while the Abyss is kind of a half and half with a 5.2. So I have to name this the 5.2 Abyss and Imaginarium Theater since I've already named the previous video 5.1, and that's why the naming format follows both the months and the versions. See, that's why I told you in the beginning with at around 4.8 with where Imaginarium Theater was introduced. I told you how the fuck should we name this thing, but yeah, welcome to the 5.2 version video, but it's more clearly the November 2024 Abyss and Imaginarium Theater. I think that's better, right? So we got new banners. We got 5.2 banners with Chaska and Lini, and the Abyss does slightly cater to them, we will see. In general, it's mostly an easy Abyss. Natlan enemies are very scarce, so the BS has not hit yet. You do need a bow because of Lini and Chaska on the banners, as said, and they have to push you somehow on pulling for these characters, because it's Lini's second fucking rerun, and Risley's nowhere to be fucking found. And then Chaska is a very middle ground, because I see a lot of people hating her for whatever reason. Honestly, yeah, I think her design is kind of ass. Her gameplay is fine, but like that design, my goodness. Although I do like her Japanese voice actors from mostly Gintama, definitely from Gintama. I was rewatching that, so I knew her from there, but not enough to pull, because I'm saving for fucking Risley. It's his birthday actually as I'm recording this. Did you know? But I ain't seeing a fucking banner. So. To the Abyss we go. Sorry, but I'm again very, very pissed about this thing. A whole last year plus, and I think a lot of people are very pissed that Risley has not rerun once, and fucking fucker Lini has rerun twice. Anyway, there's a very low enemy count on floor 12, but first is floor 11, so let's begin the Abyss part of this video with it. Floor 11 starts without a monolith defense. I almost said without a monolith defense. 11-1 contains a bunch of Natlan Tribes warriors on the first half, and then a Cryo Lava Churl and a Ruin Drake on the second. Very basic chamber, nothing much, no monolith, so it's super basic. 11-2 follows up with just a weird carousel of enemies, let's say. The first half contains the beasts from Chenyu Vale, the Shanwen beasts, for some reason, followed with two Saurus variants, the Dendro and Hydro, and it's just 1 and 1. And then also for some reason, Ruin Snakes, like the Ruin Destroyers as they call the Ruin Snakes. What the fuck, again, it's just a weird carousel of the Shanwen Beast from Chenyu Vale, then randomly Natlan Sauruses, and then randomly Ruin Snakes, and it's like, the fuck? It's just a nonsensical array of enemies. And the second half is the Terror Shroom. It's super basic. It's 11-2. You don't really need any tips against this on floor 11. And then, finally for floor 11, 11-3 contains a new Natlan enemy, the Wayob, which there's only one, and it's preceded by a Ruin Grader, which, the Ruin Grader doesn't matter, but in floor 11, these should not be a problem at all. It actually didn't even get to deploy its arena for me because it died too quickly. So, most likely, you will also kill it very quickly before it even gets the arena up. But yeah, it's stupid mechanics where it drains your energy as the arena deploys instead of as the arena gets as the arena ends. They might not show up, or they will be a very low problem in floor 11. And again, there's only one of this. If two of these appear on floor 12, we might have a bigger problem there. And the second half and last enemy for floor 11 is the Primojovis Hap, Cryo version. Somehow they remember this thing exists, I guess. Shields, of course, help. And honestly, I kind of forgot about that mechanic completely because we haven't seen this enemy in forever. And yeah, I kind of forgot. And I actually put Vivi Hutao in there just for the fuck of it. And then as I was fighting, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got Toma. So I'm actually gonna do damage through the shield. So yeah, if you want to make things easier, get a shielder so that you deal damage to it. And that's about it, because yeah, this thing on floor 11 is not that tough. So, floor 11 is very basic. The two bosses are not that special, and the Wayob in 11-3 goes down very easily. So as I said, its horrendous mechanics might not even show up for you. So to floor 12 we go. It begins with a somewhat interesting chamber. 12 one's first half contains one consecrated beast, the crocodile, so hydro resistant a bit, followed by two avatars of lava, the ones that aren't constantly don't constantly have pyro on them. The beast alone shouldn't cause much trouble, and it's followed by two basic enemies, honestly, so clearing this half is easy and possible for basically every team. The second half starts with some Soruses, the ones from the Children of Echoes, the dinosaurs ones, basically the Geo ones, followed by the experimental field generator. So yeah, they didn't use the local legend. And I mean, yeah, this is the boss version of that local legend from the previous Abyss, just without the Geo Shield, so it makes it much easier and accessible to more teams to kill this thing, even though the local legend also just basically allowed you to just plunge attack to break the Geo Shield. But now, no Geo Shield, it's kind of easier. Just be careful of the shockwaves, and you are fine. Again, have fun plunge attacking with non-plunge attack characters. 12-2, then, starts with yet another consecrated beast. This time it's the tiger, followed by one Natlan automaton. Well, this thing sucks, but because it's alone, and you only had to fight one consecrated beast before it, the stupid resistances that it has before the whole Night Soul garbage, they don't become a huge obstacle. It dies very quickly. Again, it's only one, there's only one consecrated beast behind it instead of some other more complicated enemy, and it also again doesn't have a lot of health. I think that these guys are more of a problem generally in the overworld, because here in the Abyss, you're gonna use everything you've got to, of course, kill it as fast as possible. But in the overworld, where you're just exploring around, you're not gonna use bursts and stuff to really up your damage. So not having a Natlan character while you're exploring, and these guys having a lot of resistances without you activating the bullshit mechanic, again, they become a bigger problem in the overworld rather than the Abyss. And then, for 12-2, the second half is the Aeon Blight Drake. This thing has appeared multiple times in the Abyss before, and the main problem is that a bow is mandatory. I don't think you should really be searching around for some crazy trick to get this thing without a bow. Just use one bow character. I'm pretty sure that you can find a team where a bow character fits in. And this is what I alluded to in the beginning with the need for a bow in this Abyss and the two bow character banners. And 12-3 finishes this Abyss off with two fluid avatars of lava. These guys are the versions that do have a pyro aura on them constantly, so use that to your advantage. They do go underground a lot, but you can hit them mid-animation when they both go down and up. So if you've got some sort of like a burst or some like a big shot, let's say Kinnich's cannon shots, you might actually be able to deal damage even if the HP bar disappears. And then, after them, there's a Lonely Eremite Spirit Spawner. See what I mean? I meant with low enemy numbers. Yeah, and also very basic chambers. And finally, the second half has the Hydro Tulpa. This guy is definitely a little bit dangerous. Of course, it has the Hydro Aura on it all the time, so once again, just like the fluid avatars of lava, use that to your advantage. And honestly, it kind of felt less aggressive than previous times. I don't know if this was luck of the draw in its attack patterns or something, but again, it kind of felt less aggressive with some attacks, which, I don't know, again, kind of weird. I remember fighting this with Zhao, let's say, and it was very aggressive and its hitbox was very BS, but then I tried it now and things went much smoother. Like, again, it felt like it didn't do some attacks, that it was less aggressive. I don't know, could be just complete luck, what can I say? And that's the Abyss. Still no Natlan bullshit. Unlike the combat event in 5.1, you could easily go watch the video of the 5.1 review in general, the version review, to know my opinions on that horrendous combat event that was chock full of Natlan bullshit. So for permanent content, again, the BS has not hit the fan. But looking at the 5.3 Abyss through leaks, if it doesn't change from the beta, you are in for a crazy video there. So, to Imaginarium Theater we go. And we don't have that much to say here. Elements were Pyro, Electro, and Dendro, which are okay to a degree, because like Pyro is kind of useless without Hydro, because most characters are just Vaporize. And then I guess, okay, Electro and Dendro is nice, sure, but like Pyro and Dendro gonna play fucking Burning with what characters? So they were okay at least. The bosses were somewhat questionable. The Dendro Chicken is resistant to Dendro, so use up the other elements, and then the Thunder Manifestation is immune to Electro, so use again the other elements. The main fucker is the Ruined Serpent, and it can fuck off in Imaginarium Theater. Imaginarium Theater has a lower time limit than the Abyss, so if it was a gigantic pain in the ass there, you can guess that it was an even bigger one here. It was horrendous to fight. It will make you tear your hair off, because it's of course 90% of the time underground, and it's like, holy shit, it pissed me off. And then, if you play the maximum difficulty, they put Coppelius, where you just use Pyro, and he's just a walk in the park, honestly. Nothing much. You just use Pyro. But, the Ruined Serpent, honestly, pales as a problem in comparison to the opening cast. Holy shit, this one must be written down in history as one of the worst things I've laid my eyes upon in Genshin. The opening cast, ladies and gentlemen, consisted of Klee, who is very difficult to use correctly and just jank AF if you don't practice on and use her regularly. Like, why not Hu-Tao or Diluc, honestly? Is it because people actually pulled and used these two characters? So they're gonna take up a slot in the supporting cast. So we gotta use Klee, the horrendous character, in the opening one. But it gets worse and worse, because next is Xinyan. Yeah, because it's Xinyan. In a Pyro Electro Dendro Imaginarium Theater, where Xinyan is a sort of physical DPS. Yeah. And then they have the audacity to put Dori in there. Dori. And then at least better, but still bad, is Kirara, whose Dendro application is laughable at best, and honestly her shield is kind of useless in the Imaginarium Theater. And then the two remaining characters were Yae and Tinari. Like, the difference in power and usefulness between these two and the rest is insane. Who the fuck decides on these opening casts? And it gets worse, because have you checked the builds on these guys? Because I bet you haven't, because they gave Tori and Xinyan Noblesse, which for trial characters, this doesn't get safer or basic, honestly. Followed by Tinari using, thankfully, Wanderer's Troop, but holding a fucking Stringless. You know, a weapon that Tinari doesn't use because it doesn't benefit him. Because what the fuck is Tinari going to do with an R1 Stringless for the shitty burst damage and the not that useful skill damage? And the AM that it gives is honestly garbage compared to every other weapon that actually fits Tinari. Why the fuck did they not give him anything else, honestly? Both Battle Pass weapons, Viridescent Hand, or the Blazing Sun thingy, whatever it's called, are significantly better than the Stringless. The Fontaine Craftable Song of Stillness just needs a healer in the team and it smashes the Stringless. Like, they gave him the worst of the worst. And then Kirara, well, she runs double HP sets, which maximizes her shield, which, as I said, is not that crazy useful in IT. She doesn't use Deepwood. Where the fuck is any character holding Deepwood? Why isn't Kirara holding Deepwood? Like, even if she isn't an amazing Deepwood holder, somebody needs to be holding Deepwood so that the opening cast has at least one Deepwood holder, because Tinari ain't doing jack shit damage if there's nobody using Deepwood. Heck, give him Deepwood if you're not going to give it to Kirara. Holy man, this Imaginarium Theater was not that painful compared to last versions. But the starting stages felt horrendous to play through because you just want to get rid of this abysmal opening cast. Like, holy shit. And that's our permanent combat content for November 2024, or somewhat version 5.2, I have to say. The Abyss was okay because the main Natlan garbage has not appeared yet, and just you wait for 5.3. And IT had like the worst opening cast ever, followed by the fucking Ruined Serpent in there just to ruin the fun. Because, like, again, Terror Shroom Thunder Manifestation and Coppelius, they were like, yes, these guys need a specific element so that you need to use, so, use those. Don't use Electro on Thunder Manifestation, don't use Dendro on the chicken, and use Pyro, keep some Pyros for Coppelius. But like, my goodness, the opening cast and the starting stages felt ass to play, alongside these insane builds. So, hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like it if you like it. Subscribe to the channel to help it out. And following, once I gather all of the freaking flowers needed, is Auroron's review. So, I'll await you there or another video. So, goodbye.